your heel. Cool. And then today, this is going to be weird, and I'm sorry, but can you all turn your mat slightly sideways? So Sandy, rotate it like, I don't know, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, so you guys are more on an angle. Reason being, we're going to spend quite a bit of time on our backs, and I don't think you want your crotches to the camera. So that would be helpful for me. Sorry, Roberta, I probably should have said that differently. And then once you've angled your mats, you're going to bring your blocks up towards what you are going to have as the top of your mat. You're going to put your strap somewhere there, and then you're going to lay down with your head towards the top of your mat. Good morning, Julie. Julie, how's your body today? Okay. Julie, can you make sure you've got a strap and 2 blocks, and the blanket's optional today? Fantastic. Awesome. All right, so we are all angled. And then Laura, is there a way for you to turn your camera so I can see you and Maggie both? Okay, that works. Thank you. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to lie down on our backs. And when you find yourself on your back, I invite you to notice whether you want to start with your legs long or your knees bent. Yes, Roberta? Okay. And then notice if you want to plant a hand on the belly, a hand on the chest, or if you just want your hands off the sides of the body. But we're going to take a moment to internally just scan the body and see what's going on. Our practice today is very much focused on the back line of the body, helping us to become more aware of the things that we cannot always see, but yet have a profound impact on how we move through our day, move through our life. So as you're here for the next couple of breath cycles, I just invite you to now start to notice how the breath is moving. So maybe you started and you noticed that there was weight more on the right side or the left side of the skull, the right shoulder versus the left shoulder, the right hip, the left hip. Maybe the low back is melting into the floor. Maybe it's lifting away. If your feet are on the floor, maybe you notice that there's more weight on the outer edges of the feet or the inner edges of the feet. And then as you've noticed that happening in the bony structures of the body, start to become aware of the tissue where you can soften, maybe around the neck, maybe around your jaw, the forehead, maybe where you can allow the chest to just soften, the ribs to expand as you inhale and to just knit together as you exhale, the belly to distend, the glutes to soften, the legs to soften. And as you allow the musculature then soften, become even more curious about what's happening in your breath. Can you take a full inhalation and a full exhalation, or does it feel just a little choppy? Does it feel a little labored on either end? You'll take 3 more breath cycles here, just starting to become aware of the things that maybe we don't always immediately attend to. And then at the end of the next exhalation, those of you with your legs straight, gently bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. Great. Now, once your feet are on the floor, take a gentle exhale and draw just your right knee into your chest. Now, today, this is going to be a slight variation. I want you all to hold on to your ankle if possible. So hold on to the top of your right ankle. And as you compress the right ankle against the right sit bone, you're just noticing if you can really root down into your left big toe so the inner thigh stays rolling down. And then notice what happens if you start to draw your right thigh closer to your chest. The right low back should start to find a little bit of length as the right low belly has compression. And then just take 2 to 3 breath cycles here, noticing the weight into the back of the right low back, noticing the weight of the right thigh into the abdomen, and then noticing the breath in opposition. At the end of the next exhalation, interlace your hands at the back of your right thigh. And then straighten your right leg as much as you want to. Extend the right foot up towards the sky, and you can actively pull your right thigh into your chest as you actively press your right thigh into your hands. Check in with your left big toe. Can you continue to evenly press on the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound? And then notice what that does to your low back on the right side. Nice work. On your next exhale, gently bend the knee into the chest again. Hold on to the top of your right ankle. Great. And then release the right foot to the floor. Pause and notice if you notice anything different between the front right hip and the front left hip. And then end of next exhale, draw the left thigh into your chest. Hold on to the front of your left ankle. And this time I want you to see if you really can draw your left ankle to your left sit bone, and notice how that really roots the left side of the pelvis. And then check in with the right side of the pelvis. Are they both equally rooted? Press into your right big toe and feel that change that happens into the back of the sacrum. Now draw the left thigh closer to you so your left low back goes into the floor. And then keep pressing into your right big toe. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Nice work. At the end of the next exhalation, interlace the hands at the back of the left thigh and extend the left foot up towards the sky. And again, it can be as straight as you want it to be. What we're really paying attention to is that left leg presses into your hands pull into the thigh, and then check in with your right big toe. Really press into that big toe so the pelvis stays even between the right side and the left side. Great. At the end of the next exhalation, bend the left knee, hands to the top of your left ankle, squeeze the leg into you just a little closer, and then gently release the foot to the floor. Okay, moving on. Just notice for a moment though, how does the right front of the hip feel compared to the left front of the hip? Draw your right knee into your chest again. Hold on to the top of your right ankle. So our hands are a lot lower than they normally would. And just notice how this compression feels. Now at this point, go ahead and grab your strap. Plant your strap across the ball of your right foot. Left knee is still bent. And then we'll send the right foot up towards the sky. Great. And now here, we're going to pay particular attention. So those of you who mentioned that you had heel pain, I want all of you to pay attention, but you specifically. And then all of us reach up through our right heel. Yep. Reach up through your right big toe. Yep. Pull down with your right pinky toe down. And we're going to just take a couple of moments to breathe here. And so I want you to really check in with your left foot. Is the left pinky toe still rooted evenly with the left big toe? And you keep pressing up through the heel, and then notice what's happening to your breath. Long, steady, deep breaths. Awesome. At the end of this next exhalation, we're going to gently keep the leg there as it is, but see if you can release the strap. Awesome. Now, your choice, you can keep your arms at your side or you can reach your arms up in opposition, but we're going to reach our right foot away from us all the way down to the floor as you push into your left big toe, slow and steady, lowering the leg all the way to the floor, feeling the abs start to come online. And then once your leg reaches the floor, you'll find a moment to press into your left big toe, reach up through your arms, reach out through your right heel. And then next exhale, bend the right knee, plant the right foot on the floor, and bring the arms back to center. And just take a moment and notice what's happening on the front of your right hip as compared to the front of your left hip. Nice work. Draw the left knee into your chest. Hold on to the front of your left ankle. So we're really trying to find this huge hip compression here in the front of our thigh. Now from here, grab your strap and put your strap across the ball of your left foot and reach your left foot up towards the sky. Okay. And again, we're going to focus on really just reaching up through that left heel. So it's almost like the left thigh is pushing away from you. Your hands are pulling down. Your left big toe is pressing up into that strap. Your left pinky toe ball mound is pressing up, but your pinky toe is pulling down towards your face. And then you're noticing what's happening in your right foot. Can you press more into the big toe mound side so the leg stays neutral? There you go, Julie. And you'll just take a couple of moments to breathe, and you'll take a couple of moments to just notice if you can relax any tension around your neck or shoulders. Awesome. The end of your next exhalation, leave the leg, but remove the strap. And then your choice, you might reach your arms up and alongside your ears, and you're going to slowly descend that left leg long into the floor as you push into your right big toe mound to keep the pelvis neutral and the pelvis still. Yeah, fantastic. Just a second before you get there, reach out through the arms even more, reach out through the heel. And then when you're done, you'll gently release. You'll bend the knee, planting both feet on the floor and drawing both hands back to center. Cool. Let's add on. Draw your right knee to your chest again. Hold on to the top of your ankle. Really squeeze that thigh into your chest. Now from here, grab the strap and put the strap across the ball of your foot. And this time you might notice if you can draw the strap a little bit further down the ball so it's closer to the arch of your foot, and just notice if that changes things for you. Okay. And then send the right foot back up towards the sky. Check in with your left leg. Really press your left big toe to the mountain or to the floor. Great. Now from here, I want you to see if you can reach up through your right foot even more. I want you to see if you can root your right thigh down even more. On your next exhale, draw your left knee into your chest. Left knee into your chest. Fantastic. Reach your left foot up towards the sky so it's parallel to your right. Flex through that left foot for dear life. Awesome. With control, you're going to slowly reach out through that left foot and lower it down to the floor as you continue to hold onto the strap. Keep your hips square. Your belly has to secretly do work. And you'll notice that once you start to reach that left leg long, it's going to hover off the floor for a couple of seconds, maybe just a millimeter off the floor. But reach out through your left heel, reach up through your right heel. Draw your low belly in. Fantastic. And then maybe see if you can draw your right thigh a little closer to your chest. Awesome sauce. Next, exhale. Gently release the left leg, bend the left knee, put the left foot on the floor. Gently bend the right knee, release the strap. Put both feet down onto the floor. And then again, check in and notice. What do you notice between the front of the right hip, the front of the left hip? How is the breath? How is the body? And how are you? Cool. Let's move on. Draw the left knee into the chest. Hold on to the top of your ankle, really squeezing the thigh in pretty close. Then from there, grab the strap and put the strap across the ball of your foot. Maybe you inch it down just a little bit more towards your arch, or maybe you don't. It's totally up to you. And then send the left foot up towards the sky. And again, we're going to see if, just a second, Sandy, you're faster than me. See if you can reach up through that left foot, pull down through all 5 toes, and then at the end of your next exhale, draw the right knee into your chest, and then send the right foot up to meet the left. Cool. Fantastic. Now, again, with control, you're going to reach up through your right heel and then reach forward and then reach down as you keep reaching up through your left heel. And this is intensifying the stretch you're feeling on your hamstring, especially on that left side. So you modulate this for you. And so as that right leg is descending down towards the floor, you're doing that with control, you're breathing. And maybe once it's just a millimeter off the floor, you just hover there, you pause, you breathe, more internal rotation on that right leg. There we go. Awesome. Then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently bend your right knee. You'll plant the foot back on the floor. You'll bend the left knee. You'll release the strap, and you'll take a moment to pause and just notice what you notice between both sides. Okay. Let's continue on. Draw your right knee into your chest. Draw your hands to the top of your right ankle. We're really focusing on that today because it has a profound impact. So we're trying to decrease the flexion or the angle in our knee and our hip. And then from here, put your strap across the ball of your right foot. So this time I really want it on the ball. Yep, and then send your right foot back up towards the sky. Cool. So this time I would encourage you to try to find a 90-degree angle in that right hip, but you do whatever works for you. So your right leg is perpendicular to the floor. You're actively reaching up through that right heel. Cool. From here, draw your left knee into your chest. Reach your left foot up towards the sky. Actively flex through your left foot. And then same thing, you're going to reach the left foot up, forward, and down to slowly descend it to the floor. And we want to keep reaching, that looks good, Roberta, with the inner thigh so that we've got that neutral pelvis. There you go, Sandy. That's great. Awesome, 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 awesome. Cool. And you're going to take your time, but hopefully we're almost there to the floor. Once you're there, we're going to pause. Okay, so our left leg should now be on the floor. I want you to reach out through your left heel, root down through your left calf, down through your left hamstring, and then reach up through your right heel. Now from here, let's go ahead and draw both ends of the strap into your opposite hand. So into your left hand, draw your right thumb to your right hip crease. Now I want you to keep your left leg active, push your right hip down and away from you, push up into the strap, and then maybe cross the strap a couple of inches over to your left. So it's going to cross your body, maybe just a couple of inches to your left. Your butt doesn't leave the ground. You press out through your heel, the right heel. You press out through the right big toe, the right pinky toe mound, and suddenly say, hello, hamstrings. Hello, IT band. Hello, back of calves. And are you breathing? Breathe, 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 breathe. Nice work. Next, in breath, come back through center with the leg. Draw both ends of the strap into your right hand. Listen closely. Bring your left hand to the top of your left thigh. Notice how long the front of your left thigh feels right now. I want you to keep that, but press down with your left hand for dear life, and then externally rotate your right leg. So your right toes are going to point to the right just a little bit. You're going to push up into that strap, into the ball of the pinky toe and the big toe mound, and you're just going to breathe. And notice how this part of your hamstring feels a little different than any of the other stuff we've done before. So Julie, it's a lot smaller than that. Keep the leg back to center, straight up to the sky. Yep, and then just turn your toes to the right so the leg doesn't actually open. There you go. Awesome. And then on your next in breath, turn the leg back to neutral. Go ahead and bend your right knee. Go ahead and bend your left knee. Put the left foot on the floor. Release the strap from the top of the right foot and then plant both feet onto the floor. And just take a moment to notice. What do you notice on the front of the right hip? What do you notice on the front of the left hip? Okay, let's try the other side. So go ahead and draw your left knee into your chest. Hold on to the top of your ankle. And again, just find that compression, a little bit of compression. From there, draw the strap across the ball of your foot and send your foot up towards the sky. And you'll take a few breaths to pause here. So again, reach, reach, reach up through that left heel, press through the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound. Next, exhale, the right knee comes into the chest, and then send the right foot up towards the sky. Flex through that right foot a lot, and you'll reach up through the leg, forward, out, and down to bring the foot to the floor. And you'll notice that this is increasing the hamstring stretch on the leg that's in the strap. And so you just take your time. You keep internally rotating that right leg as it lowers to the floor. There you go, Steve. And you just pause and you breathe. And then once you reach your depth or the floor with that right leg, you really root down through the right heel. You root down through the right calf and the right hamstring. Great. And then you just take a moment to pause and breathe here. From this position, let's go ahead and draw both ends of the strap into your right hand. Draw your left thumb to your left hip crease and actively just push your left hip away from you. And then cross the left leg a couple of inches over to the right. The right leg stays active. You're pressing out through your left big toe mound, your pinky toe mounds, and you're breathing, as I'm sure the sensation here has increased quite dramatically. Keep your left butt cheek rooted. Next, in breath, come back up through center. Draw both ends of the strap into your left hand. Draw your right hand to the top of your right thigh. Now we want to keep the right front of our hips super open. So you're going to press down with your right hand as much as you can, and then turn your left toes to the left from the top of the left hip. So you externally rotate the left thigh. And you just pause here and you breathe. And you notice how this part of your hamstring feels a little different than the other part. And you pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Nice work. Next, in breath, come back up, or rather turn the leg back to neutral. Go ahead and bend the left knee, bend the right knee. Release the strap and plant both feet on the floor. And again, take a moment to pause and breathe and just notice what you notice. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and draw your right knee into your chest. Hold on to the top of the ankle. Nice work. Draw your strap across the ball of your right foot. And then send your right leg up to the sky. Cool. Draw your left knee into your chest. And then draw your left foot up to the sky. Now this time you're going to loop your left foot into the strap. So both feet are now into the strap. Cool. This is going to sound funny and weird. I'm aware, so listen closely. You're going to start to open your legs wide right to left about 3 inches. And just notice how that feels in your sacrum to have opened them up just about 3 inches. And then open them up again about a foot. So now they're a little wider. Keep pressing into the strap. Okay, notice how that's feeling in your sacrum. Now open them up about 2 feet. Okay, and just notice how that feels. And then maybe open them up about 3 feet. Okay, now at this point, some of you might start to rock a little right to left. You got that strap. Sometimes it feels really nice in the sacrum and the low back to take a gentle, slow rocking. And then you might find that, yeah, you're done with that and you want to come to stillness. And then you might notice you want to open the legs maybe 4 feet apart. Now, again, more is not always better. You're paying attention to what's working in your body. And I'm just here as the cuer. And so again, if you did open your legs a little wider, maybe you rock a little right to left. Maybe you don't do any of it, but you're just taking a moment to pause and breathe and just observe what's happening in the body. Okay. Now, if you're in movement, please come to stillness. So that means stop moving. And then I want you to bend your knees just a little bit and then straighten your legs. And you do a couple of those and just feel how that feels. So you're bending your knees and straightening your legs and just noticing how that feels for you. Okay. Now, the next time you bend your knees, we're going to try to find Ananda Balasana, happy baby. So you might have to adjust how your arms are gripping that strap. Yep. And then notice how heavy your sacrums are. You all are doing very good at that. Okay, so keep your sacrums pretty heavy. You're pressing your feet out into the strap. You're letting the knees drip towards the floor. And we're breathing. We're breathing. Cool. This next transition is weird, so I'm not going to lie about that one. You're going to try to draw your feet to touch each other, soles of the feet, and find yourself in Baddha Konasana. You might still grip that strap like you're pulling back on the reins of a horse. You might decide to just hold on to your own feet. You choose what works for you, but we're finding ourselves in this Supta Baddha Konasana position on our back. And once you sort of found yourself there, notice if you want to shift your hips up and down. So it feels like they're coming more up towards the right shoulder and the left shoulder. So instead of rocking right to left, you're, I guess, rocking up and down. I'm not really quite sure how to describe that when you're on your back, but it feels more like your hips are actually walking forward away toward the top of your mat. So they're like going away. There you go, Sandy. They're going more forward towards the end of your mat. So it's a slight little rocking that way. Awesome. And then let's go ahead and Come to stillness. Go ahead and release your strap. Draw your knees into your chest and hold on to the tops of both ankles this time. And just notice how deep this pose feels now, wind relieving pose. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And you'll hold on to the tops of your ankles. And you'll just hug the legs into your chest and just notice how that feels. Awesome. And if you've done that, switch. So now the left ankle is on top of the right ankle. And again, you're holding on to the tops of your ankles and you're just feeling how that feels. Awesome. And then let's gently release that. Draw your legs back to neutral parallel position. Hold on to the tops of your shins, and then let's slide our hands down to the tops of our ankles. Now I want you to tuck your chin to your chest and see if you can really round into that upper body and make yourself a tight, tight, tight little ball. Now, depending upon how much your body wishes to do this, some of you might release the position just a little bit and hold on to the backs of your legs instead, but you're going to take about 10 rocks up and down your spine. Da 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 da. And after you've taken about 10 of those, you're going to come up and balance on your butt. So you're going to balance on your sacrum. Maybe you're still holding the fronts of your shins, maybe you're not. You're going to come up and you're going to balance and you're going to look at your tummy. Yep. And then maybe we'll release our shins parallel to the floor and hold on to the backs of our calves. Yep. And then maybe we'll draw our shoulder blades onto our back body. And maybe we'll lift our heart. And maybe we'll hover our hands and we'll breathe here for 3. We'll breathe here for 2. We'll breathe here for 1. Fantastic. Go ahead and cross at your ankles. And again, you're holding onto the tops of your shins. And then come over onto hands and knees. Now, if you need to reorient yourself, by all means, do that. Our blocks should be at the top of our mat, so that should be good. Blankets are there if you need to pad your knees. And immediately we're going to find ourselves in poor, sad, non-California cows. So knees are directly underneath our hips. Hands are directly underneath our shoulders. You're going to melt your heart. You're going to melt your belly. You're going to lift your tuchus, and you're going to drop your head. And you're just going to take a couple of breath cycles here. So we've been spending a lot of time working on the legs. And so we're going to try to integrate the legs with the rest of our spine because well, that's a good idea. And so you're just going to pause here. Arms are as straight as possible. Head is super duper heavy. Butt lifts, belly drops, chest drops. And notice if you feel any tightness around the back of your shoulder blades, back of the neck, and see if you can breathe into it, breathe with it. At the end of your next exhale, scoop all your organs away from the floor, drop your tailbone, drop your head even more, and find yourself in cat pose. Yep, and then as you inhale, ripple from your butt forward into your head to find your cow shape. Yep, and then exhale, scoop the organs away from the floor, find yourself into your cat shape. And then again, inhale, ripple from your butt all the way through your head, finding your cow shape. And you'll take 4 more of these on your own. And you might notice that you want to continue to initiate the movement from your pelvis. You might find that that doesn't work for you, but I want you to just pay attention to how the movement is impacting your breath, how it's impacting other parts of the body. Nice work. All right. From here, take any other organic movement that might feel good to you. So you might do some little barrel rolls, you might do some twists, you might do none of the above, but just let yourself start to be in a less structured environment because so far I've had you very structured. And so you just feel how that feels. And then find yourself into a neutral position. Walk your knees, ankles, and shins together. Curl all 10 toes under and press yourselves back for toe squat. Okay, and then once we find ourselves in toe squat, we want to make sure that we've tucked our pinky toes under and we sit super tall through our spine. And this is just a prep for a pose we're going to do in a while. Go ahead and reach your left arm up, bend your left elbow, grab your left elbow with your right hand. Now press your left elbow to the left, pull your left elbow to the right. Draw your front ribs back as you lean your skull back. And just take a couple of breaths here. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. On your next in breath, reach up through your right arm, reach up through your left. Go ahead and bend your right elbow. Grab your right elbow with your left hand. Press the right elbow to the right as you pull your right elbow to the left. Again, draw the front ribs in and back, and then lean your skull straight back. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Nice work. On your next in breath, reach up through your left arm, reach up through your right. Hands come down to the floor, pitter patter your toes against the floor if you'd like. And then for today, if you do take the counter stretch, we're going to try this one today. So we're going to, if you do this, lift both knees up and you're going to hold on to the tops of your ankles, just like we did earlier. Hooray! And just notice what that feels like along the tops of your feet. And you just pause and you breathe. Nice work. And very gently, you'll release that. Bring your blocks to their highest setting. And then you're going to step one foot and then the other to the top of your space to find yourself suddenly in forward fold. Aha! All right. And now once you get there, some of you might be like, I don't need my blocks. And if that's the case, you don't need them. Or maybe the blocks need to be at a lower height. And if that's the case, that's fine too. But what I want you to pay attention to is, can your legs be hip distance apart? Yep. Can you pay attention to where the weight is in your feet? So I want you in particular to feel this line of energy going from your sit bone all the way up to your heel, just like we had when we were on our backs. And then some of you will bend your knees a few times and then straighten your legs. Some of you will stay completely still, but you're just paying attention to how your feet are interacting with the floor, how your legs are interacting with your hips, how your hips are interacting with your spine. Cool. Now, from here, let's go ahead and come to stillness. Bend your knees, step your left foot long and back for pyramid pose. And so you're like, wow, Jessica, that's quite intense to get there, but we did all this stuff. So pyramid shouldn't feel too stressful for us now. And then you might need to walk your blocks back a little bit so they're directly underneath your shoulders. And then with that left foot back, really press down onto the pinky toe edge, knife edge of that back foot. And then everyone lift your spine parallel to the floor. Now with your spine parallel to the floor, draw your outer right hip straight back. Great. Reach your heart and sternum forward. Press from your right sit bone to your right big toe. And then on your next exhale, start to scoop the belly and maybe reach your sternum forward towards your right leg. Maybe reach your head towards the floor. And then you just pause and you breathe and you notice how this feels in this moment. Nice work. Next in breath, bend the front knee and then step your left foot forward to meet your right. And then once you're at the top of your space, again, find that hip distance apart. This time, I want you to see if you can really let your head drip and drape to the floor. And some of you might grab your right elbow and then your left elbow and just take a moment to really be super duper heavy here, letting the arms pull the chest down. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice the connection from your sit bones to your heels and how that lets the head be heavy. And then notice whichever arm is on top and switch the arm that's on top. And just take a couple of moments to breathe here. Nice work. All right. Let's go ahead and gently release our hands back to the floor or the blocks. Bend both knees. And now this time, step your right leg back. And again, we're going to find that long pyramid shape. And then you walk your blocks back so they're underneath your shoulders. And then check in with that back foot first. So really press the knife edge of your right foot to the floor. And then lift your spine parallel to the floor. Draw your outer left hip back as you reach your sternum forward. Press left sit bone to left big toe mound, and then you might start to scoop the belly and melt your sternum towards the front shin. Yeah, nice work. All right, and you just pause and you breathe and you notice how that feels. Cool. Next, in breath, let's go ahead and bend our front knee, step to the top of our mat, feet hip distance apart. Now, at this point, everyone turn your blocks down to the medium height or the first height, no higher than that. Cool. Hold on to your blocks, bend your knees, and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Hold on to your blocks, bend your knees, and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Cool. Now, depending upon what height you picked for your blocks, that changes how your hands are oriented to the blocks. Now, all of you, I want you to see if you've picked the correct position for you, and if not, come out and readjust. Great. Once you find a down dog that you're comfortable with, bend your knees just a little bit. Send your pubic bone up and back behind you. Your inner thighs spiral to the floor like they did when they were reaching down to the floor. Hey, that looks really nice, Roberta. And then you just pause and breathe. That looks really good too, Robin. And you just notice how your down dog is feeling. Nice, Julie. Nice, Maggie. Nice, Laura. Very good, Barbara. Barbara, send your butt up just a little bit more. There we go. Nope, your hands are good. Awesome. At the next exhale, let's go ahead and come forward into plank pose. Hands stay on those blocks. Cool. Now, once you're in this plank, I want you to see if you can lift up through your inner armpits. Aha, there you go. Lift up through your inner thighs. Reach your heart and sternum forward and just pause here for 3. Lift up through your inner thighs a little bit more, Maggie. There you go, for 2. For 1, next exhale, lower your knees down to the mat. Cross at your ankles, sit on your butt. All right. Cool. So the first thing that we want to do is you might want to remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones. And we are going to do both sides, so it doesn't really matter, but you just remember which shin is in front for you. And then your blocks you might want to bring in front of you. Cool. And we're going to scoop our belly up and start to fold over our hips to find either our hands on the floor or our hands on the blocks. And then you're going to just let your head be super heavy. So the whole practice is on forward folds. But right now, you should feel a lot of stuff potentially happening in your hips. Depending upon how heavy you make your head and how tight your upper thoracic spine is, you might also feel stuff in your upper back. But you just pause and you'll breathe. And you'll pause and you'll breathe. And you'll just notice what's happening right here. How is the low back responding to this? Especially those of you who expressed concern, or not concern, but said your low back was kind of not fun this morning. Awesome. The end of your next exhale, gently come up. Sit tall for a moment and just notice how that feels. And then once you've registered that, you'll switch the cross of your shins. Cool. Again, if you need to remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones, go ahead and do that. And this time, I want you to notice a difference if you make your legs active. So actively push, flex through the feet, scoop the belly, and then come up and over your thighs. And some of you might notice that making the feet active is a lot more intense. So if that's not something you wish to pursue, gently relax the feet. But you just take a couple of breaths here. See how heavy you can make your head, how much you can breathe into your hips, how much you can breathe into your low back. Nice work. On your next in-breath, gently start to walk yourself back up. Okay, this time when you're vertical, let's find ourselves in Baddha Konasana. And so you'll draw the soles of your feet together. This is a perfect opportunity if you want to sit on a blanket. And you would choose to sit on a blanket if you feel like your low back rounds a lot. If it doesn't, then you may not need it. Okay. Now from here, everyone bring your hands behind your butt. Push into your hands, lift your pelvis up and slide your pelvis closer to your feet. Great. Now from here, you're going to hold on to the outside edges of your feet, so pinky toe edges, and then you're going to pull your chest forward and through, lift up through the gates of your arms. Now, some of you had expressed neck stuff, so if you want to stretch your neck, you're going to drop your right ear to your right shoulder. You'll pull back evenly with both hands and maybe open and close your mouth a few times to feel a nice stretch on the scalene muscles on the left side of your neck. You just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale and come back up through center. And then you'll go to the other side. So drop the left ear to the left shoulder, pull back with both hands, and then maybe open and close your mouth a few times. Awesome sauce. Next in breath, go ahead and come up through center. Let's take our left leg and extend our left leg out to the left. You'll start to grab the top of your right ankle. Draw your right heel closer to your right perineum. Well, your right perineum, you don't have a left perineum, but to your perineum. And then from here, again, you might use your blocks, you might not, but we're going to come forward and lower maybe our forearms onto our blocks, maybe our forearms onto the floor. But I want you to pay attention to what's happening on the inside edge of your left leg, what's happening on the back of your left leg, what's happening in the back of your spine. Then so you'll just take a couple breaths to pause here, a couple breaths to breathe. Nice work. Next inhalation, start to come out. Walk your spine back up to vertical. You might need to adjust your right foot just a little bit first, and then you'll bend your left knee and draw your left foot back to the right foot, back to Baddha Konasana. And we'll try that on the other side. So now our right leg is going to go to the right. We'll grab the top of our left ankle, draw our left foot closer to our perineum. Flex through your right foot, and then start to hinge at your hips and come forward. Maybe lowering forearms down onto the blocks, maybe bringing them all the way down to the floor. But you'll just take a couple of moments to breathe here. And again, notice where you feel the stretch. Notice where you feel the sensation. The things that we don't often attend to consciously have a way of unconsciously making themselves known. So just pause here and notice what you notice. All right, let's start to come out of this. So inhale, walk yourselves up to center. You might want to release the left foot first and then draw the right knee in. Now at this point, we're going to grab our strap. Our left leg is going to go back out to the left. Our right knee is going to come in even closer towards our perineum. Cool. With your strap, you're going to put it across the ball of your left foot. Now, our major task today is I want you to imagine that you're riding six white horses through the mountains, or however that song goes. So you're really pulling back on the rein of your foot. Your left foot is pushing into the ball and the pinky toe mound. Your left heel is drawing down to the floor, and then you're drawing your shoulder blades onto your back body. Heart comes up. Some of you will stay right here, happy as a clam, working on this. Some of you will start to pull onto the strap. Your elbows may start to bend, and you'll hinge forward at your hips. And you're just finding a little bit of breath here. Some of you may find that, yeah, Jessica, I can really reach my foot. So maybe you reach your foot. That's fine. Some of you might then notice that you want to stay with a long, straight spine. Some of you might find that you want to round your spine. So your chest comes down towards your shin bone. You make the decision based upon what feels best to you. But again, you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what's happening. Awesome. Great. Cool. Listen very closely. Draw both ends of your strap into your left hand. Now, you're going to hopefully put your left elbow down. If you need some support, a block works, and you maybe put a block underneath your left elbow. And then we're going to start to rotate our chest towards the right. And then you'll reach your right arm alongside your ear. And we're just looking for this stretch happening along our right side body as we pause and as we breathe and as we pause and we breathe. So we haven't done a single side bend this whole class. So notice how this feels as you're now in a side bend. Nice work. On your next in-breath, you'll gently reach up through the right arm. You'll release the strap. You'll come back up through center. If you use that block, you'll discard that. You'll reposition your right foot. You'll draw your left foot in and release the strap. Cool. And now we'll try all that to the other side. So right leg will go to the right. Left top of the foot will come closer to our perineum. Flex through your right foot. Put the strap across the ball of your right foot. Awesome. And then again, it's that horse. So you're really pushing down into your right heel. You're pressing out to the right big toe mound, the pinky toe mound. You're actively pulling on the strap and then guiding your heart through the gates of your arms. And some of you will stay right here. This is a perfectly acceptable, wonderful place to explore. Sometimes I like just staying here because you can feel that rooting of the thigh into the hip. Maybe you just stay right here. Maybe you start to bend your elbows a little bit and hinge forward at your hips. Bye, Anne. Have a good day. And then maybe you just stay here. Maybe you start to round your spine, drawing maybe your head a little closer to your right foot. But again, you're just paying attention. What's happening in your left low back? What's happening in the back of your right hamstring? What's happening in your breath and your shoulders? You just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Nice work. Draw both ends of the strap into your right hand. If you need to plant a block underneath your right elbow, by all means, please do that. And then start to rotate your rib cage towards the left. So now it's between the holes of your legs. And then reach your left arm up and over your head. And we're just finding this really long side body stretch. And then you'll breathe. Your ribs are pulling under and to the left. You're pulling back with the right hand. You're reaching out through the right heel, right big toe mound. Find a nice long stretch. Great. Next in breath, left arm comes up. Release the strap on the right side. Come up to vertical. Reposition your right leg. Reposition your left leg back to Baddha Konasana. And then remove that strap if needed. Cool. Let's draw our feet closer to our pelvis. Let's bring our hands back behind our hips. Push down through your hips, lift your hips closer to your feet and resettle. Hands will now come to the underside of your foot once again, and you'll pull your heart and sternum forward and through. Cool. Option is stay right here. You happily stay here. Some of you will want to extend both legs out to the right and to the left for an Upavisa Konasana. So if you're staying in Baddha Konasana, you stay there. If you want to come to Upavisa Konasana, you stay there. But in both cases, we're going to hinge forward. So we're going to come forward, and maybe you take your blocks with you and they come underneath your elbows and forearms. Maybe you bring your hands to the floor, but you just take a couple of moments to pause and breathe and just notice how this feels for you. Awesome. We've got about 4 more breath cycles here. And just observe, how's the breath moving right now in the body? Where is there sensation? Very gently, we're going to come out of this. So start to walk your hands up to the pelvis, start to walk the spine up to vertical. If you're in this Upavista, you're going to bring your hands underneath your legs like little scoopers. If you're in Baddha Konasana, you're going to close your knees together like a book. This is a weird shape, but I like this. I learned this from Karina Benner. She's a yin teacher. You're going to bend both of your knees. And we are going to then tuck our chin towards our chest and start to roll over our spine. So you're going to find yourself in this weird forward fold position. Some of you will just plant your hands on the floor on the outside edges of your thighs. Some of you are going to crawl your hands underneath and grab the top of your ankle with the opposite hand. And you'll notice that the more you can really just drop your head, you can start to breathe into your back body in a way that maybe you've never experienced in your upper back before. And then if you need to adjust the hands because your arms aren't nearly as long as mine, by all means do that. You might walk your hands closer to your knees than your ankles, but just take a couple of breaths to breathe into the upper back. And you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. So nice work. Very gently, let's come out of that. Cool. We're going to do a demo do. You guys are going to have the option to do this or not, but just watch. So I'm going to make you roll all the way down onto your back. I'm going to have you come to this position. We're going to reach our legs up. I'm going to have you grab your feet. You're going to go back to where we were before. Some of you will stay right here and just go towards this Upavista Paschimottanasana. Some of you will release your hands to the floor and you'll come back towards a halasana. So we haven't been here in a while. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will bend your elbows, catch your butt, and reach your legs up towards the sky. So I'll cue you through all of it. That's just a visual demonstration so you have an idea of when I start telling you to do things. So let's go ahead and turn around everybody so your heads are facing the top of the space. Awesome sauce. Turn around, Roberta. And then you're going to sit up, extend your legs long. So sit up, Sandy. Long in Dandasana, flex through your feet, reach forward through your arms like happy little robot zombies. And then slower than you want to, you're going to lower your spine all the way to the floor. Slower than you want to. Here we go. Slow, 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 slow. Look at how much your legs have helped you all from all the stuff we've done. Good job. Slow, 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 slow. Nice control there, Maggie. Good job, Laura. Nice job, Roberta. Good job. Barbara, fantastic. And then once you reach all the way down, you might reach your arms up over your head and just take a long body stretch and just feel how that feels. Fantastic. Gently go ahead and bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. And then from here, again, draw the right knee into the chest, draw the left knee into the chest, send both feet up towards the sky. Cool. Now from here, you're going to see if you can grab your feet and open your legs wide into an Upavista Konasana position. So back to that position we were in at the beginning of class, and maybe for some of you just a little bit earlier ago. And you'll just feel how that feels. And you might stay here. You might draw the legs together over your face. And again, feel how this feels. So Paschimottanasana on your back. And some of you might just stay here and round your upper back a little bit more by shifting your feet forward over your head so your legs are parallel to the sky. And you might just stay here and feel how that feels in your upper back. It's a nice stretch. Awesome. Some of you will release back down, so put your butt back on the floor, release your hands alongside your hips, and then use your core to reach your feet up and over your head and to the floor. Now, if the feet go towards the floor for this halasana shape, I want you to push down into your hands. You might need to curl your toes under if they touch the floor and reach out through the inner edges of your heels. And then notice how this feels in the back of your neck. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will bend your elbows, turn your palms to face your pelvis, take the weight of your pelvis into your hands, and then reach your feet about a 60-degree angle. So not a huge angle. So your toes are roughly over your face. Flex through your feet. And you'll pause here in this modified shoulder stand. And you'll just pause. So it's not a full shoulder stand. It's a modified because it's a 60-degree angle in the hips. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And you're pausing and you're breathing. And you're pausing and you're breathing. You can choose to stay here and just notice how your brain suddenly becomes super duper quiet. And just pay attention to how the breath is moving through the body. And then when you're ready to come out, those are in that modified shoulder stand. Hands come back down to the floor, toes come to the floor above your head. You press into your palms and with control, slowly lower your pelvis back down to the floor. When your pelvis touches the floor, you bend your knees and slowly plant one foot and then the other on the floor. Once you're there, separate your feet outside of your hips, let your knees fall in towards each other, and then maybe cross your arms across your torso for constructive rest. And you just take a couple of breaths here to let the body catch up. The things that we do not always see often have a profound impact on the way that we live our lives because it unconsciously shapes our thoughts and our beliefs. It shapes the way that we see things or ignore things. And it shapes the way that we, most importantly, talk to ourselves. So as you're here, just take a moment to notice what's come up, what's alive right here and now. Notice which arm is on top, and then on your next in-breath, open the arms out, and exhale, switch the arm that's on top. And again, just take a couple of breaths. Let the body be easy. Awesome. Go ahead and extend your right arm alongside your ear. Right arm alongside right ear. Roll over to your right side. Continue to roll over onto your belly. This is a one belly down thing. We're going to do the whole practice. Make your way onto your abdomen. When you're on your abdomen, bring your hands alongside your ribs. Separate your feet hip distance apart and your foreheads on the mat. Now, first thing that you're going to do, there you go, Barbara, foreheads on the mat. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears, draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Really hug the shoulder blades towards one another. Press into your pinky toenails, big toenails, energize your legs, and then pull your heart and sternum forward and through. Hug the shoulder blades onto the back body even more. Awesome. And you're going to stay here, pressing down and through the toes, drawing the shoulders away from the ears and towards each other. Some of you might hover your hands, but really all that's important here is that you're engaging the back body to counter that last pose we just did. So you're just pausing and you're breathing, pausing and you're breathing, pausing and you're breathing. And then when you're ready, stack your hands right on top of one another. Bring your forehead to the tops of your hands. Maybe draw your big toes towards each other, or maybe let the toes spin out, but you're in Nakrasana, crocodile pose, and you'll just take a couple moments to pause, and you'll take a moment to breathe. Awesome. And then while you're here, just take 3 more breaths, really pressing the belly into the floor. Noticing how the more you can breathe your abdomen into the floor, it creates space in the low back. And then notice if you can breathe wide into the ribs as well. Great. Go ahead and extend your right arm alongside your ears. Roll over onto your right side and onto your back. Once you're on your back, bend both knees, plant the feet hip distance apart. Okay. Open your arms out into a T shape. Press into your feet, lift your pelvis up, slide your butt over towards your right, and then let your legs fall over to the left. Now for today, let's double stack both legs. Draw your knees as close to your left armpit as you possibly can, and then draw your left hand to the top of your right thigh. From here, I want you to think of inhaling and elongating your head and tail away from each other. And then with every exhale, you want to think of rotating towards the right by really just pulling in the organs on the left and trying to shift them to the right. And we're just looking for an opening, perhaps across our back, across our belly, depending upon where you're tight. Notice what happens for you if you bend your right elbow. So that's the one that's on the floor. Notice what happens for you if you reach your right arm in a diagonal, so like you're making the YMCA song, but you're just paying attention to what's happening in your spine, in your back, in your breath. And your knees are stacked right on top of each other. Nice work. Take 2 more breath cycles here. At the end of your next exhalation, gently release that left hand. Draw the knees back to center. Take a moment to have both feet on the floor, butt underneath your head, and just to be still. And notice if you notice anything between the sides. Sometimes we don't feel a twist until we come out. Not always the case, but sometimes. And then we'll try the other side. So open your arms out into a T. Lift your pelvis up, slide your butt to the left, put your butt down, and then let the legs fall over to the right. Draw the knees pretty close to your right armpit as you can, and then bring your right hand onto the top of your left thigh. With the knees stacking as best as you can do that, you'll inhale and lengthen from your butt to your crown. And then as you exhale, the right organs are trying to slide over to the left. The left low back is trying to slide to the floor. Some of you may keep your left arm exactly as it is. Some of you may find that cactus position again with the left arm. That's the one that's on the floor. You might find the YMCA, reaching the left arm up on a diagonal. But again, you just take a couple of moments to breathe here, noticing where you might invite in a little bit more awareness and how just simply bringing your awareness to an issue starts to alter, starts to change that. You might find ease, you might find comfort, you might find a pleasant release. Awesome. On your next in-breath, gently release the right hand, come back up through center, re-square your hips underneath your shoulders. And at this time, make your way to your final resting pose. If you need to cover yourselves with that blanket, great. If you need to put on clothes, awesome. If you don't want to do any of that, that's fantastic too. So just find yourself to your final resting pose. And just because it's been a while and we spent so much time focusing on this, I encourage you to take a straight up traditional Shavasana for today. You can always find at some point that you don't want to stay here, but let's just see how this feels. So your feet are a little wider than your hips. Your arms are wider than your shoulders. You might find that as you let the arms rest on the floor, if you're imagining that you're making floor angels, you can find that magic spot where the arms open to just the right angle, that the shoulder blades just naturally slide on the back, the heart space opens. Awesome. And then once you find yourself there, I'd like you to just take 3 to 5 deep breaths in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. Big breaths in, followed by big breaths out. At the end of your conscious, audible breath, I invite you to just fall into your natural breathing. And as you do so in this position that some describe energetically as being quite open, quite vulnerable, if you can allow yourself to fall back into you. There's so many things that consciously or unconsciously pull us out of our open-hearted self. And our practice of Shavasana gives us the opportunity to let go of those things so that we can fall back into the essence of who we are, who we wish to be, and who we were meant to be. So I'll leave you here with you. My invitation is just to notice where you can continue to draw your awareness to parts of the body that are longing to open. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When movement or life do beckon you, allow the movement to re-enter into your form in a very gentle, nourishing way. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, make your way to your right side. Pause for a few breaths on your right side. And after you've taken a couple of breaths on the right side, slowly make your way to a tall, comfortable seat. When you are vertical, I would encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block or a blanket. And then when you're upright, if you'd like, remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones, roll the shoulders, circle the neck, anything that lets you feel like you can have a tall, vertical, effortless spine. And then we'll plant one hand on our heart and another hand on our abdomen. And just take 3 breaths here. Paraphrasing something Eckhart Tolle said, our most powerful actions come from awareness. And sometimes that means that we have to turn towards the things that we don't always see. Sometimes that means we have to re-look or re-examine the things that we always do see. So as you're here, I'd like to celebrate each and every one of you for doing that in your practice today, through the body, through noticing the breath, through noticing the thoughts that came up. And as we celebrate that, we remind ourselves that if we can do it for this hour that we're on the mat, we can do it other times too. So as you're here for these last few breath cycles, I just invite you to notice where in your life you might wish to change something and how you can use this practice as reinforcement that you can do that. You can be that. We'll bring our hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press your palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and then lift your sternum into your thumbs. Soften your chin so the back of your neck elongates, and then exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, The awareness within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the awareness within each of you. Namaste.